Some people do eventually get free of what holds them back, whether it's anxiety, procrastination, perfectionism. I've met people that say, you know what? I used to be anxious and now I'm not anymore. And I think, wonderful. And I say, how long did that take? They're like, oh, about 15 years. And I'm like, that's great, but that is horribly long. And so the engineer in me just looked at the improvement industrial complex and I said, it's full of well intentioned people doing the best they can, but they are regurgitating old stuff that frankly just doesn't get the job done and doesn't get the job done quickly. And so I started my own research company called Full Liberation Technology with the idea, the passion to say, could we engineer something? Could we reverse engineer a process such that if you work the steps in a certain order, you get the result? And the result is the thing that you want to be free of, the anxiety, perfectionism, caring what people think of you, whatever it is, it's gone and it's not coming back. That was our goal. And I didn't know it at the time, but it was a revolutionary idea.
I suspect today's episode on the beautiful side of grief is going to have a wide appeal. Loads of people who suffer grief are also susceptible to experiencing anxiety, depression, and a host of other things as well. And maybe that's you. If it is, what would it mean to you if you had access to a system that has a 90% success rate and you only have to pay when it is successful for you? Does that sound like something you'd be interested in? Well, my guest, Daniel Packard, a UC Berkeley mechanical engineer and anxiety solution pioneer, has a research company that has engineered the world's only permanent, yes, permanent, anxiety solution program where you only pay once you have a clear, measurable result. It's Daniel's own struggle with anxiety and depression, coupled with PTSD, after staying in an abusive relationship too long, that prompted the development of this program. What makes the system stand out is that neither Daniel nor any members of his team are therapists, counselors, or the like. So, what is it that makes this system so successful for 3,000 plus people later? That's what we're here to explore. So, a very warm welcome to you, Daniel.
Thank you for having me, Helen. What a excellent voice, radio voice you have, and professional preparation. What an intro. I'm jealous. I wish more people, I love what I do because we're all here to serve, and I get to do that every day. But I'm also grateful. I get to do a lot of these podcasts and get a wonderful intro like that. And it's just, you get to sit back and be bathed in appreciation and be reminded how wonderful you are. Yeah, I wish the whole world, when they woke up in the morning, you were by their bedside. One could say, coming to the bed, coming to the world now is Nancy. Nancy is excellent in making guacamole toast and not only inhaling, but exhaling. Give it up for Nancy. I wish everyone had an intro every morning. But thank you for that intro. And I'm glad to be here because what I want to share with your audience is an innovative way of looking at struggle, an innovative way that gets people what I think we ultimately really want, but really isn't available on the market, which is how to be free of something permanently and quickly and in a way that's simple and fast. And what we do is so effective for many reasons. I'll explain it. But it's usually for committed people who have courage. And if they're on your podcast and it has the word grief, it means they're already courageous people that are already admitting that they're grieving and that they're feeling and that there's something they're willing to face. And so to your audience already, I know there's somebody out there that not only needs to hear this, but has the fortitude and courage to take what I'm going to share and really go with it. Because you do need the courage to feel. And if you're listening to a podcast with the word grief in, you're already feeling. So I want to tell your audience, I know you may be struggling. I know you may be grieving. And I know there may be times you think you're failing. But if you can feel that grief and acknowledge it, that takes courage and you're doing a lot better than most of the world. So thank you.
That's a lovely introduction into this conversation, Daniel, because to acknowledge those who are listening and the struggle they are going through, and I love that word struggle. That word struggle encompasses so much. And I think that is a great way of describing what people are up against because it comes in many different guises. But I'm excited that you've got a system that's going to help us address that. But before we just head down that path, I wanted to ask you what your most favorite thing to do is, Daniel, because I know you've got quite a sense of humor and love to do fun things. So share with us what your most favorite thing to do is.
I've got the fun thing and then there's the meaningful thing. The fun thing is I don't know where I learned it, but I have this uncommon ability to dance way better than I should. Nobody ever trained me how. But when the James Brown or the Michael Jackson comes on, I start dancing and I don't know where it comes from. And it is confusing to people. They look and they think, what is a guy that looks like that dancing like that? And it just comes out of me. And it's incredible. I've seen footage of me dancing and I think, where is that even coming from? So when the Michael Jackson or the James Brown is playing and I'm just in the pocket in my own little dance world, that that's my happy place. My meaningful place is this system that we've been working on for 8 years. Is my passion project to give people struggling and in pain real liberation. And it's engineered to work quickly. And so it's so fun for me, just the scientist in me, that when people go through our program, we're tracking their data and their results, but they're also reporting on how they feel. And so just this morning, I looked at the results from one of our clients. He's 1 week in. So he's been struggling with low confidence, depression, and anxiety pretty much his whole life. He's spent all the money. He's tried all the things. Nothing's worked. He's not fulfilling his potential. He's not the happy father he wants to be. His business is struggling, just you name it. And he found out about the work that we're doing. He was skeptical, but open. And he liked the fact that you only pay at the end when it works. And 1 week into the program, not only is his anxiety down by about 40%, but he put in his entry, he said, I just felt something I haven't felt in years, which was actual joy. And that's a week in.
Wow.
And of course, we're all here to help. But again, making the system work fast and then you see it work, it's so satisfying because so much work goes into those results that fast. And to hear a person not say, hey, but to say, I'm feeling joy for the first time in a long time. And then knowing that joy will spread to his children and his wife and his business, that also puts me in my happy place.
Oh, yes. I love that. I love your passion because it's passion that drives you to persevere for any length of time to achieve what it is you're wanting to achieve. And those are wonderful results. I know myself what it felt like the first time I felt a sense of calm and ease and peace and happiness after Tyler died. I was on the beach and I just went, wow, feel calm. I don't think I've felt like this before. And that was the most incredible feeling. And so I get what you're talking about. So, Daniel, you went down the path of trying to solve your own anxiety, depression, PTSD. How bad were you? And what was that journey like for you that then led into this passion?
The passion started before the pain. The passion, what we're doing, what our company was built for, was because growing up, my dad was a physicist and an inventor, and he instilled in me. He even told me one time, he said, look, anybody can have an idea or a concept. That's easy. But results matter. Trust the person that gets the results. And also, that's what actually matters is results. Theories are a nice starting point. It's not bad, but like results. And this idea of being an inventor and developing things that get results, it's a passion and it's a certain mindset. And you need to innovate. And not everyone's an innovator. Not everyone goes around saying, oh, I'm going to get better results. But I loved that idea. When I was a kid, I remember going to the bike store and looking at the bikes. And I looked at the bike and I bought it and I right away said, I can make this better. And I go into my dad's workshop and I made a better pair of brakes. And I thought that was normal. Turns out it's not. So I went to engineering school to get really good at this because in engineering school, they really properly train you how to look at a seemingly complex problem, break it down into its simple mechanical elements. But then there's a very important part of engineering and inventing, which is you build a prototype and then you test it. You have to get results. And very often in the beginning, you don't get great results. So what do? You refine and you calibrate and you reiterate until you get something that not only gets results, but consistent results. That's what engineers are good at. And the reason this came in handy is because after leaving an abusive relationship, I not only had anxiety and PTSD and depression, but also my procrastination, my fear of rejection, my perfectionism, just everything got worse. And like your audience, whether it's grief, whether it's anxiety, whether it's perfectionism, procrastination, whether it's caring what people think of you, they go looking for help with these struggles. And they go to psychologists and therapists and teachers and gurus and videos. And so I did all that. And I spent $100,000 and 10 years. And I got some tips and some tools and some insights to manage it. But I wasn't free of it. It was still there. It's all there was pretty much management, insights and tips and tools. But 10 years later and $100,000 later, I wasn't free of it. And I woke up and I said, that's a real problem. But I saw people weren't seeing it as a problem. I didn't see it as a problem. I spent $5,000 on one retreat. I felt better for a week. Then I went back to my normal feeling. And I didn't go, wait a minute. That's a problem that this is on the market. If you take your car to a mechanic, spend $5,000, a week later, your car's broken, you think, oh, that's an issue. But I call it the improvement industrial complex. We're just conditioned to just keep dumping money into management, and we don't stop and go, wait a minute. I want to be free of this, and I'm going to go find people that can get me free of this. Now, some people do eventually get free of what holds them back, whether it's anxiety, procrastination, perfectionism. I've met people that say, you know what? I used to be anxious and now I'm not anymore. And I think, wonderful. And I say, how long did that take? They're like, oh, about 15 years. And I'm like, that's great, but that is horribly long. And so the engineer in me just looked at the improvement industrial complex and I said, it's full of well-intentioned people doing the best they can, but they are regurgitating old stuff that frankly just doesn't get the job done and doesn't get the job done quickly. And so I started my own research company called Full Liberation Technology with the idea, the passion to say, could we engineer something? Could we reverse engineer a process such that if you work the steps in a certain order, you get the result? And the result is the thing that you want to be free of, the anxiety, perfectionism, caring what people think of you, whatever it is, it's gone and it's not coming back. That was our goal. And I didn't know it at the time, but it was a revolutionary idea. I just went and did it, spent 8 years doing it. And I spoke to a client last week and I said, yeah, I spent 2 years in South Africa working with addicts, testing the model and improving it, and working with the government to bring our program into the national response. And he said, you spent 2 years in South Africa working on this program? I said, yeah, I also spent a year working with monks in India. And he said, yeah, that's incredible. And I said, oh, I guess it is. It is. He said, yeah. And yeah, that passion came from my own pain and seeing I wasn't free of this and seeing that the world isn't free of these struggles, not quickly, not effectively, not cheaply. And just the desire, what my dad told me, make something that gets real results. When you're in pain, books are nice, ideas are nice, insights are nice. When you're in pain, you want to be free of this. You want real results. And that's what our passion is.
100% to be free of it, because that's where life really starts happening. And I believe that we're conditioned to just put up with stuff, to accept pain, to accept that this is what we are and this is what we've got, and not to actually seek those or seek that freedom from those issues, or even know that there is a way to have freedom from that. How do you, as an engineer, dealing with emotion, start doing that, start developing a program? Like, where is the starting point for that? I know you said you reverse engineered it. Just share with us a little bit about that process, because I'm fascinated by that, because if it was that easy, there would be a lot of people out there doing it and providing the solutions and fixes like you are, but there's not. So what you're doing is pretty special.
Thank you. It is. And I think what I did and what we did, it's an engineering approach that engineers and scientists do on physical things. What we did is not that incredible. It is incredible how it was a lot of hard work and is impressive, but it sounds more impressive just because engineers are always focused on physical things. Look at what engineers and physicists accomplish. It's incredible. There's a helicopter on Mars. I mean, come on, that's impressive. I was in a museum, a naval museum in Estonia, and there was a World War II class submarine. And you can go inside it. And you go inside it, it's incredible what they pack into this submarine. It is absolutely fascinating. And I looked at this and I said, this is what happens when engineers apply themselves to this problem. Just no engineer ever thought to go internal. And that's because most engineers and physicists are in their mind. My dad was a physicist. He's a mind guy. Spoiler alert, he was not a heart guy. And so the people that are good at problem solving are focused on physical problems, and they're getting incredible results on the outside. But the people who feel, and where the issue is with feelings, the heart people are well-intentioned, but they're not engineers and problem solvers. So the reason we figured it out is because I was an engineer, and intuitively, I thought, you know what? There's enough engineers working on emissions and battery spans. Why don't I apply my engineering training to the internal world? And I think, looking back, that was kind of revolutionary. But that once we did that, we just applied engineering principles. So what are engineering principles? So first of all, you just look at results. So we just looked at everything. We said, okay, let's look at what's available out there and see what's working and what's not working. That's just common sense. And we looked at almost everything available for anxiety, low self-esteem, perfectionism, we looked at everything, and we looked at it, and we looked at their success rate. Were they solving anything? Did they have any data of a fast, permanent solution? Nobody had it. It did not exist. There was symptom management, insights, tips, and tools to make things better. Nobody was solving anything. Nobody was measuring anything.
Yeah.
And people were charging and not getting results. And we were like, that whole industry, the improvement industrial complex, it's contaminated with the problem, which is this complacency with management. I was told by a therapist that in therapy school, they were told that a third of the people they'll help will actually get better, 1/3 will stay the same, and 1/3 will actually get worse. Now, that's not the problem. If that's the results you get, fine. The problem is that nobody had a problem with that. Those students just sat there and stayed in school. If I was in engineering school, and my engineering professor said, hey, we're going to teach you how to design a bridge. 1/3 will work. 1/3 will be so expensive they'll never be built. And 1/3 will collapse, killing thousands. I would leave the school. That's not a good track record. But to them, they're just regurgitating the stuff that doesn't work. The father of modern psychology, Freud, was a chain-smoking cocaine addict. Like, this industry doesn't have a problem with these results. And I'm waking your audience up to say, you're trusting people that are not passionate about solving the problem. They are regurgitators. They learn things that are valuable and they pass them on to you. And there's value in that, and they collect some money. But the reason you haven't solved it is not because you're broken or trapped or there's anything wrong with you. It's because the people you went to were ill-equipped to solve what you're struggling with. Once you focus on a solution from an engineering perspective, you get it. So here's what we did. We saw that everything else on the market was not getting results. So let's just start from scratch because we don't know. And then we started to approach this from a very key perspective, and that is mechanically. The way that your audience is trying to improve, two primary approaches, spiritual and psychological. Now, spiritual and psychological has value. It gives you insights. It gives you perspectives. maybe some tools that can help you understand and lessen the symptoms and maybe give you some tools to lessen the pain. And there's value in that. There absolutely is. But it's usually very perceptual. It's conceptual. These are concepts. And that's fine. But concepts don't lead you to a fast solution. If you want a fast, consistent solution, you don't want spiritual or psychological, you want mechanical. For instance, let's say you're at a restaurant and you're choking, and two people walk up to you, and one person walks up and says, "Wow, I see you're struggling. It seems like you're in a lot of pain. You know, I think you're really focusing on your lack of air instead of being really focused on the abundance of air that's out there. And that's creating a scarcity mindset, which is making it worse. And really, I feel that your ego is really attached and cares about breathing and living. And if you could just let go, if you could just let go." Or somebody walks up and goes, "Look, this is really basic. You have a bit of food mechanically lodged in your windpipe. That's causing the problem. It's not a theory, it's mechanical. I'm going to apply pressure to your stomach. It's going to put pressure behind the blockage, which will hopefully pop it out. And then mechanically, air will get into your windpipe, and you'll live." In that situation, do you want an approach that's spiritual, psychological, or mechanical?
The answer is easy. I want to go mechanical. That's going to give you the solution. Yeah.
But it's going to give you a solution reliably, quickly,
Mhm.
and simply.
Yeah.
Mechanics is this is connected to this. This is that. Not it's a theory or a way of looking at it. This is what's actually going on. This is how to get out of it quickly and reliably. But would it be fair to say that most of what's out there to help with our pain and struggle is not mechanical? It's spiritual and psychological.
So that's my next question. The example you gave was perfect because that was physical. We can all imagine that and say, okay, that piece of food is stuck. Now it's dislodged. Now we're fine again. But how does it work with feeling? How does it work when we've lodged all of these feelings inside of us that cause our brain to go 24/7, never give us a break, and just put us into that headspace of we're not good enough, we're unworthy. And from that, we start getting anxious, we start getting depressed. Why are we here? All of that. So, how is it that we approach that?
Well, again, as an engineer, we were able to see what worked because we weren't experts. We didn't have letters at the end of our name. We weren't attached to any old paradigm. We could just look at this with fresh eyes and just say, what the heck is actually going on here? And that's very valuable because when you're from pre-existing constructs, your ego tends to keep wanting to teach that because you want to see that it works. So we first of all we looked at what was being taught. We said, this is what's being taught. What's being taught is whether it's anxiety, procrastination, perfectionism, sabotage, insecurity, and even aspects of grief. Often we're told the problem is in the mind. You know,
True.
negative thinking, scarcity mindset, your ego, quieting the mind. It's called mental health. It's got the word mental right in there. So everybody on some level believes the experts and thinks, oh, this is a problem with the mind. Now, the mind does start to go a little haywire and say scary negative things, and then you feel crappy. So it looks like the mind is the root cause. Just one problem. If it was the root cause, why hasn't anybody solved this? If you're in the right place, you should get way better results. So we stopped and we said, this whole mind theory sounds good, but it's not getting results. Maybe the mind isn't the root cause. And once we challenged that paradigm, the answer of what's actually causing this revealed itself very quickly. And it's dead simple. It's so simple, you already know it intuitively. When people say they're anxious, do people say, I think anxious or I feel anxious?
Feel
Yeah. And where do we feel it?
in our body.
Throat. Yeah, in our body. Throat, chest, heart, stomach. Okay, so the experts who aren't solving anything tell you that these things are a problem of the mind. They haven't gotten results in 100 years. Anxiety's on the rise. And listen to those words: throat, chest, heart, stomach. Does that sound like the mind to you or the body?
Body. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And it's definitely because that's what the root cause is. Now, the mind is part of it, but the mind is a symptom of the body. Now, if you don't know that, you just feel fear, you think fear, you were told it starts in the mind, and you don't know which is which because it's happening at the same time. But if you stop and do a slow motion camera, first of all, the mind approach isn't solving anything. So that should let you know maybe it's not the mind. Maybe this is a symptom. Maybe that's why it's not going away because I'm trying to manage the symptom. But think about it. We are wired mechanically where the body tells you what the body needs to stay alive, whether it's fear, hunger, thirst. Then your mind is a tool to listen to what the body needs and get the body what it needs. You feel hunger in the body first, then your mind senses the hunger, and then your mind figures out where and how to get food. It's a reflex. It's mechanics. We are wired to feel fear in the body first, go, oh, there's a threat, and then our mind goes, there's a threat. Let's solve this. Have you ever noticed that when your body is calmer, usually your mind is a bit quieter and notices more good things?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you notice when your body is feeling more fear and worry, then your mind starts to spin more?
Right.
Yes. But it's a question of what comes first. And what comes first, it's the body
Right.
first and the mind is second. Now, when I explain it, people go, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It does make sense. And it's true. The problem is the experts are telling you the problem's in the mind.
Yeah.
And that's the symptom. So everyone's running around trying to quiet the mind. As long as your body feels fear, your mind thinks there's a problem and starts to go into problem-solving mode and starts spinning and beating you up and doing all that. But it's a symptom. So the reason that your audience has been trying to solve things and not is not because they're broken or trapped or doomed. It's because the experts have an incomplete understanding of the problem and literally sent you to the wrong place. It's not your fault. They sent you 180 degrees to the wrong place. So of course you haven't solved it. So can you see that if it starts in the body, but we've all been sent to the mind, can you see that if you go to the right location, you've got a much better shot to be free of this?
Absolutely. I'm 100% behind you, Daniel. So tell us how you do it with this amazing program you've developed. What is it? The nervous system reset.
Well, see, the fact with grief, it's interesting because with grief, each struggle has different approaches and different accuracies. When somebody has anxiety, there's a lot of shame and guilt around it. Why am I so afraid? Why is my mind doing this? And part of the reason is because we're taught and trained. They call it an anxiety disorder. It's a really heavy word to throw around, especially if you don't, but also it's not helpful. It doesn't explain what's going on. But grief, usually when you're grieving, people are like, I understand. It still may be painful, but there's a little bit more compassion around grieving and understanding around grieving than there is around anxiety. Does that feel true?
Yeah, it feels true. But what I've found with grief, and certainly in my own situation, is that it opens Pandora's box. It's like when you're feeling so raw and vulnerable, it's like all the other issues that have just been sitting in the background waiting to pound suddenly rear up as well. So if you've got anger issues, then you may respond in your grief with anger at people not saying the right thing or why the event has happened or so many different scenarios. So that's how I see it.
But I'm glad that you found it was in the body because once you understand, people, when you are grieving, usually people won't tell you that's a problem of the mind.
No, and
They'll say, my God,
unless
you're
it goes
grieving.
on for a prolonged period of time. It's only then that they say, okay, well, actually in grief though, yeah. See, look, you're heartbroken, so you feel it physically and it's that. But it's our mind that allows us to stay trapped in that grief, I believe. Would that be a fair comment?
It's a fair comment because that's how it feels, but it's just not true.
Mm.
And it's very hard to know the difference because, again, you're feeling grief, you're hearing the grief thoughts, and we're taught all the time, oh, the mind is the problem, the mind is the problem. Then the mind says stuff. You go, oh, it looks like it's the problem. And again, if that was the root cause, but it's not. And we know that. I'll explain to you why. Again, the mind always follows the
Mhm.
body. We looked at all these symptoms and we said, maybe these aren't individual problems. Maybe these are all just symptoms of one root cause. And we saw that they were. They're all just symptoms of one root cause. And the root cause of most things that hold people back, not grief, that's different, is that underneath in our bodies, we feel unsafe.
True.
Can you see that if you feel unsafe in the body, it'll create fear?
Oh, yes.
Right. So you'll hear people say, oh, I have anxiety. I have anxiety. What if you just feel really unsafe and it creates a lot of fear and you label that fear anxiety? But what if you don't have anxiety? What if your body feels unsafe?
And that often comes from when you're very young as well. Like that can just start in those early years of life where you aren't able to verbalize it. But what you're doing is picking up on those cues. And if you feel unsafe, then that embeds itself. And so then it plays out. But you're not actually recognizing where it stemmed from.
Right. It's what I'm pointing isn't revolutionary.
No.
It's just we're not taught what's actually going on. I had a client last week that came in. He said, I was diagnosed with anxiety disorder. So he thinks he's got this thing where he's all
Mm.
broken and he's got a disorder. So A, it's inaccurate. If you pay someone to tell you you've got a disorder, that's not helpful. That's like taking your car to a mechanic. They're like, oh, your car's broken. That's not helpful to just label it. So I said, you don't have a disorder. I showed him that you don't feel safe. And a symptom of that is you feel, quote unquote, anxious. And he said, yeah, that feels more accurate. And our program is engineered in 6 weeks that step by step, it leaves you feeling safe. And when you feel safe, the fear and anxiety go away. But doesn't that just make sense?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But he wasn't told what makes sense and what works. He was told he had an anxiety disorder. He was told he had anxious thoughts. He was told he had scarcity mindset. So what I'm trying to tell your audience is it's common sense when you hear it, but be aware that's not what's being sold. What's being sold is stuff that just doesn't even line up with common sense. But also look at perfectionism. 2 weeks ago, client comes to me. I'm a perfectionist. I've always been a perfectionist. My mom was a perfectionist. I'm a perfectionist. She's labeled it that she has perfectionism. And I said, okay, how long have you been working on it? She said, well, about 8 years. And she said, it's a bit better. And I went, okay. And I said, what if you're not a perfectionist? What if you don't feel safe from within and you have a fear that if you make a mistake or you're not perfect, there's fear there. Does it feel fearful if you make a mistake? She said, oh, God, yeah. And I said, so if you feel afraid to make a mistake, wouldn't it be a natural symptom and coping mechanism to try to make things perfect to avoid the fear? She said, you're right. I said, yeah, you're not a perfectionist. You feel unsafe. She said, oh, my God, you're right. Nobody ever said that. I was like, I know, because they make money telling you you've got a problem and then selling you basically air freshener. Perfectionism, procrastination, to all you procrastinators, it's a behavior. You're not doing something. Okay, but why? What if it's because you're afraid if you finish the thing and it doesn't go well, there's a fear there. So to avoid the fear, you don't start or finish the thing. So are you a procrastinator, or do you feel fear and you're understandably procrastinating to do what humans do, which is avoid the fear? Which is it?
Yeah. So common sense. It's so basic. I love this. This is really grassroots level stuff you're talking about that we don't hear. We don't hear
We
it
don't
enough.
hear it.
Yeah.
And people say, how do you get a 90% success rate? How can you run a business charging only at the end when you get results? And I'm like, because we do what works and everything else hasn't worked. People say it's too good to be true. I'm like, what we do isn't too good to be true. It's what you've tried has been poorly designed for you to fail. And you don't know it because we blindly trust these experts. And I'm trying to wake your audience up and say, look at the results that you're getting from these experts and ask yourself, are they solving it? And if not, I'm just telling you, this stuff is solvable if you approach it in a more simple way. So first of all, almost everything is a symptom of fear, and fear is a mechanical symptom of not feeling safe. Now, your audience already knows fear is a problem in their life. You don't need me to tell you that. But if you look at the industry, what do we get told to do with fear? Face the fear, overcome the fear, change your mindset from fear to believe in yourself. It's all like, okay, overcome the fear. So I did all that. I tried to overcome the fear. I learned to face the fear, to push through the fear, to quiet the fear. Not bad. It got in a couple situations, I was able to overcome the fear and do something. Yay! And that was great for about 5 minutes. Why? Because if you overcome the fear is still there.
Yeah. You haven't got to the core of it, have you?
No. So I had this client who came to me and said, oh my God, I used to have this fear of public speaking. I went to this coach. He showed me how to use mindset and how to push through the fear. And I was like, great. And he said, I'm able to give the talk now. I went, okay, great. How do you feel on stage? He's like, I'm still scared. I said, okay, are you authentic? He said, no, I'm terrified. I said, are you spontaneous? What happens if the talk doesn't go well? He said, I'm terrified. So all these tools and tricks try to go over the fear, around the fear, push through the fear. Again, I get it. That's what's sold. But the engineer in me was like, why don't we just figure out where the hell the fear is coming from and solve it? I don't have any more fear. It's gone. I don't know how. It's gone. Isn't that what your audience wants?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So to your audience out there, you do not have a problem. You have a symptom of fear, which is a symptom of not feeling safe in the body. So now the question is, how do you get the fear and be free of it?
Mm.
That's what people want to know.
Yes.
And nobody knows. Yeah, I know. But it saddened me that everybody knows fear is the issue. And after 100 years of psychology, 5,000 years of spirituality, like we figured it out, but we figured it out because we went at it. So here's where the fear is coming from that makes this solvable. And remember, what I'm about to tell you gets results. Anybody can have a theory. They can say, oh, the fear is from your childhood. The fear is from this. The fear is from the economy. The fear is from your parents. Anybody can have a theory. But remember what my dad said, trust the person that gets results. I've been free of anxiety and fear for 10 years in a row. I don't do affirmations. I don't shift my mindset. I'm like default, no fear. I don't care what people think of me. I don't know how to procrastinate. I don't have anxiety. It's gone. And we're able to get people this with a 90% success rate, and we back up our results. So my opinion should matter because results matter. This is an understanding of where the fear is coming from that makes this solvable. But to do it, I'm going to do a little role play so that you can feel this for yourself. Okay?
Mhm.
Okay. We're going to do a little role play. Me, you, and I'm going to talk to you, Helen. As I'm talking to you, Helen, I'm also talking to your audience members so they can play along. Okay?
Mhm.
So in this role play, we're going to be friends. And let's say for a while, I'm a really good friend to you. I care for you. I make you a priority. I listen to you. I understand you. When you're struggling, it matters to me. I know what you need and I get you what you need. And I put you first. And when you're really in a lot of trouble, I make sure I'm there for you. If I treat you that way consistently, will you feel safe or unsafe around me?
Safe.
Yeah. And that answer is automatic because it's mechanical. Safe. Treat me nice? Safe. Boom. Mechanics. And that's because when I treat you well, you trust me. And when you trust me, you feel safe.
Mhm.
So there's a mechanical link between care, trust, and safety.
Yep.
Okay. That's the beauty of mechanics. This is connected to this. This equals this. Okay. So if what I just did makes you feel safe, I now can explain what makes you feel unsafe. What if now imagine I'm not a good friend to you. Let's say for a while, I'm mean to you. I'm unkind to you. When you need me, I'm not there for you. I criticize you. I don't appreciate you. I know what you need and it doesn't matter to me. I put everybody else ahead of you and you get table scraps. And when you're upset, I tell you you're a bother and to go away. If I treat you that way for a while, do you feel safe or unsafe?
Definitely unsafe.
And the reason the word is definitely is because it's mechanical.
Yeah.
What I'm showing you is there's a direct mechanical link between care and safety. Make
Yep.
sense?
Makes sense. Perfect sense to me.
Does it seem mechanical?
When you explain it like that, yes, it does.
Yeah. Okay. So in this role play, we're in a friend relationship. But now is it fair to say you're in a relationship with yourself?
Yes.
Yeah. And is it fair to say that you're sometimes not always a loving, caring friend to yourself?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. You know it.
Mm.
Everybody knows it. People hear it. Oh, yeah, I'm really hard on myself. I beat myself all the time. People know that. We know that.
Mhm.
But here's what nobody knows, but we saw in our research. Your audience knows that they're not always good to themselves. Your audience knows that there's fear. What your audience doesn't know, and nobody knows, but we saw, is there's a direct mechanical link between you not caring for yourself and you feeling unsafe within yourself. The fear is coming from you not caring for yourself.
Mm. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
It makes perfect sense. If I said, hey, I feel scared around another person, people get, oh, I bet that person's not nice to you. People understand the mechanical link between care and safety between friend relationships. We've even had people that have treated us poorly. We feel unsafe around them. Then we have people that treat us really well and we feel safe around them. So we know with human relationships, we totally get there's a mechanical link between care and safety.
Mhm.
But then when it comes to ourselves, we're like, where's the fear coming from? Why am I so anxious? Is it my childhood? No, it's the same thing. Our data showed that there's a direct mechanical link. There's 30 ways that we need to take care of ourselves.
Are you feeling lost, anxious, unsure of how to navigate the loss of your beautiful loved one? Don't know where to head next? Yeah, I get that. Then you may be interested in a letter of hope and aroha to help you find out who you are right here and now and how you can navigate that without being on that emotional roller coaster, feeling out of control. That's a feeling I really disliked after Tal and then Adrian died. So I've developed an 8-week support program where each week you get an email of what worked for me, as well as other tried and true tools to help with grief. It's a beautiful, calming, healing resource that I think you're really going to like and that you can use in your everyday life to find out what works for you and what doesn't. And the great thing is, you find yourself feeling stronger and more in control so you can work out what you want life to look like going forward. So if this sounds like something you would like to check out, head over to my website or check out the link in the episode notes. You're looking for a letter of hope and aroha. I was just going to ask you that. So what are the signs that we're not taking care of ourselves?
The fear, that's the sign.
Yes, but then there must be other behaviors that we're doing as a result of that fear that you've seen.
Well, it's true that it manifests in different ways. However, I'm trying to give you and your audience a simple understanding of where this is coming from. Because if you understand where it's coming from, you'll understand why it can be solved quickly. What I'm trying to say is what's ground zero that's creating all the problems is first this unsafe feeling from within us. But people ask, oh, I feel unsafe from childhood. Oh, I feel unsafe because of this happened. I feel unsafe because of the economy. And I'm saying, no, that'll make it worse. But what's causing the most fear is that 10 to 30 times a day, totally unknowing to yourself, you are being unloving to yourself, not caring to yourself. That lack of care is accumulating to leave you feeling unsafe within yourself. That's what's creating most of the fear.
Yep, that makes perfect sense.
And the reason it's revolutionary is because no one's teaching us that. Why are you afraid? Well, you have anxiety disorder. You're an anxious person. It's the economy. It's your past. It's your childhood. What if that stuff makes it worse? But what if it's what you do to you every day? And people aren't seeing that. People know when it comes to weight gain, if you gain weight, nobody goes, oh, that's the economy. Oh, that's your childhood. Oh, no, people go, no, every day you don't watch your calories and that accumulates to create weight gain. It's the little daily things that accumulate to create weight gain. What nobody is seeing is it's the little things you do every day that accumulate to create this unsafety and fear. Now, people know, I'll show you another example. People know that they're critical of themselves.
Mhm.
They know that one. But here's another one of the 30. Do you know anybody or have you ever deflected a compliment?
Yeah.
Now, you know you do it.
Yep.
A lot of people do it.
Yep.
What you didn't know is that that's building fear in your system. I'll show you. Again, let's go back to the role play.
Okay.
Let's say we're friends, okay? And let's say you do something. And let's say somebody else goes to appreciate you and say, oh my God, great job. And then let's say I jump in and I say, no. No appreciation for them. No. Do not see them. Do not appreciate them. Do not do it. They get criticism when they mess up. Get out of here with that love.
Mhm.
Would you feel safe or unsafe around me?
Probably unsafe. I wouldn't want you anywhere near me, actually.
Of course not.
Yeah. But that's what we're doing to ourselves, isn't it?
Exactly. Did you know that the deflecting the compliment was leaving you feeling fearful? Did you know that?
Mm. No, I didn't associate it with fear. I knew it wasn't healthy, but I didn't actually take it right back to fear.
Exactly. That's the breakthrough. Is the research showed we looked at people with feeling unsafe, whether it was anxiety, procrastination. We measured people's fear and safety levels. And then we measured people's basically care levels. And the average person, we looked at what they needed to do versus what they did each day. And the average person was about 5 out of 10 every day. But here's why. Because you're not taught the 29 things. You were never taught it. You were taught to brush and floss. You were taught to get enough sleep. You were taught to drink enough water. Nobody was ever taught, what do you do daily to take care of your feelings and emotional nervous system? We weren't taught it, and we certainly weren't taught if you neglect it, it's going to lead to feeling afraid. Now, again, this is not theory, okay? When we saw what those things were, and we started to develop tools to help people move in little ways from unhealth to health and take care of their nervous system, their unsafety went away and they felt safe. Our program, over 6 weeks, you just make little adjustments to your behavior. We show you, we lay out all the steps. It's very simple. And at the end, you go from not taking care of yourself to taking care of yourself. And the end result is that you feel safe from within. If you just felt safe from within, why would your life really be better?
If you felt safe from within, oh my gosh, how could it not be better? It would be better on every single level because when you feel happy, you are naturally putting out that. And then that's what attracts you to be around like-minded people, that it enables you to be successful. You're not spending your energy, wasting it on being fearful and all that's wrapped around that. You're focused on what you want on a daily basis and where you want to head.
Beautifully said. Most people can't even perceive of what that's like because everybody for decades has felt unsafe from within. So their whole life is based around feeling unsafe and then managing coping mechanisms to deal with the safety. Now, that's the best you can do if somebody hasn't figured out how to feel safe, which we have. But I had a client come to me a month ago and he had anxiety and perfectionism. And I said, what if you don't have anxiety and perfectionism? What if you don't feel safe? And he said, yeah, that makes sense. I haven't felt safe since childhood. I said, I know. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the planet. And he said, is that even possible? I said, it's not only possible, it's like what we do in 6 weeks. He said, oh my God, that's way better. I said, why? He said, because then I'm free of this. Then I can really just get back to the business of really being me. And I said, exactly. He said, you can do that? I said, if we can't, you don't pay. He's all right, I'm in. So about 4 weeks into the program, we knew from his data he was feeling better, but he reached out to me and he says, Daniel, this is weird. He said, I just woke up this morning and I felt calm and safe. And it's not temporary. Like I can feel it. It's deep. I said, I know. It's incredible. And I said, and your anxiety? He's like, gone. I said, perfectionism? He's like, I don't care so much. And he said, thank you. And I said, why? He said, because this is what we all want. This is real freedom. He said, today I was nicer, I was happier, I was more open-hearted. My wife has a happier husband. My kids have a happier father. He said, I noticed at work I had more focus and productivity. He said, I was better at sales because I don't care what people think of me. And he said, I'm just getting to experience the real version of me, the best version of me, because I'm free of this stuff. That's the power of this understanding, is with little tiny steps that are easy to do, that accumulate to get you a guaranteed result, just like a diet. When people lose weight, it's not because you become enlightened. It's because you make little adjustments from unhealthy to healthy that accumulate to get you a guaranteed result, which for us and our clients, it's you're free of this. But here's the other reason this works. Everything I've just told you is theory. It's just theory, Helen. And theory is nice. It's fun to have a nice conversation about theory. Theory is useless. Borderline useless. Because it's the what. Theory is great for understanding what the problem is. But what do you need in addition to the what? You need the how. People don't sell the how. They sell the what. What's the problem? You have a negative mindset. You have anxiety. You're a procrastinator. You're a perfectionist. That's what the problem is. You need a how. How do I get rid of it permanently? So we looked at this. We said, there's all this what. You buy a book, it tells you the what. I read The Power of Now. I was like, oh, I want to be in the now. That's way better. That's what is better. There was no how.
Yes.
So I tried and I failed, felt worse about myself. They don't sell the how because that's harder to pull off. Here's how you get a how. We want a how that's simple and reliable and consistent. And the way you get that how is a system. If you look at your life, there are things that used to be complicated but now are simple.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because there's a system in place. If you need a root canal, you go to the dentist, they know how to, they have a system that's been perfected over about 100 years to scoop out the infection, fill it with healthy teeth, you're back. There's a system. A gardener has a system. A mechanic has a system. A contractor has a system. Systems make complex things simple and reliable. Does that make
Perfect sense.
The experts don't sell systems. They sell tips and tools and Band-Aids. You need a system. So what's in a system?
Mm-hmm.
A system has a complete set of tools to get the job done. When you take your car to a mechanic and you look around, do they just have a wrench or do they have other tools?
Yeah. They have the whole works.
Yeah. If you hire a contractor and they just showed up with a hammer and they're like, I've got a hammer. That's it. I've got one hammer. Are you going to think, I think you need more tools.
Yeah.
So to solve something quickly and effectively, you need a toolkit that's been optimized to work together for that specific job. Okay. Your mechanic has wrenches and tools and screwdrivers built for cars and engines. They don't have a chainsaw. They don't have a flamethrower. They don't have a shovel. A gardener has a toolkit for gardening. So you need a complete toolkit to get the job done. But when people go for help with anxiety, procrastination, perfectionism, usually they get one tool here, one technique from this person, one insight from this person. But can you see that it's much more effective to have a complete toolkit that's been optimized to address the root cause? Can you see that's a better way to do it?
Yeah. It's a no-brainer, really. Yeah. Have everything at your disposal. Right tools for the right job.
And that have been optimized and tested to work together. Not, oh, I go to this therapist and try one tool for 6 months. No. So to your audience, the reason that you still have these struggles, it's not your fault. You went to people that gave you one tool or two tools, then you tried it, but you needed a complete, comprehensive toolkit that's been designed to work together. But also, you didn't get the other most important part. Let's say you have a friend that wants to make a chocolate chip cookie, and you give them everything they need: flour, water, spoon, bowl, oven, yeast, sugar, everything. You give them all the tools, everything they need, but they don't know anything about baking. Are they going to be able to make a chocolate chip cookie?
No, they don't have the recipe. They don't know how to use those tools in the way that they need to. Yeah.
Exactly. What do I do with the flour? Do I put it on my hair? What do I do with the water? Do I put it in the oven?
Yeah.
What order? For how long? How long? What amount? They'd have no idea.
Mm.
But when we go looking for help with anxiety, procrastination, perfectionism, we get a tool or a technique, and the expert says, here you go. Good luck.
Yes.
So what we spent 8 years figuring out was the tools, but also the instructions. What do you do on what day, in what order, for how long? It's all laid out. No guessing, no wondering. Do this for this amount of time, for this number of repetitions, then move on to this. You not only have the tools, but the instructions of what to do and when. And when you have all the ingredients and the instructions, can you see that things move much more quickly? We're used to complicated.
Mm.
So the idea that something's simple, but what if it doesn't work? That's based on an old paradigm of change. It's not that effective. When you break your leg and you go to a doctor and they say, your bone is broken, it's a mechanical issue, we're going to put a cast on and there's a mechanism that will fuse the bone. Nobody goes in there and says, what about my childhood? Or this won't work for me. You just want the bone fixed. People want to know the why. Of course they want the why. So the first answer to the why is what you're feeling is a symptom of feeling unsafe. You feel unsafe because you're not taking care of yourself. We're going to show you how to take care of yourself. You feel safe and your symptom goes away. But secondly, if you're skeptical, you should be. It seems too good to be true. I totally get it. So we just tell people, have I made a case to try it? You have tried things that haven't solved it. We're claiming to solve things in 6 weeks. If it doesn't work, you don't pay a penny. And if your motivation to be free of the pain is high enough, that's a sweet deal. You don't ask a lot of questions.
Yeah. Sure.
People that work with us, they just connect to the possibility and the hope. And they go, you know what? You're making a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's about fear. And I do get that there could be a link between treatment and care and fear. And I like the fact that you're talking about a solution. You're in the right location, the body. That makes sense. You're the only person I've ever heard of where they charge at the end when they get results, which probably means you get results, which is really honestly all I care about. So I should probably just try it. So you can be totally skeptical and have questions, but still try it. But you have to be brave and have an open mind and want the thing bad enough.
Did you come up against any challenges to get to this point?
Well, two things. There was, for me, I was one of the first test cases to go through things, and we were just figuring things out. We were trying using different combinations of tools, different timings, and we didn't have the formula down. So in between, it was scary. I didn't know if it would work. I was in a lot of pain. Some of the things were challenging, and I didn't know if it would work, so I had doubt. And it was scary. That middle, when you're losing hope and you're not feeling better, that was scary. And I was in a lot of pain. But we were persistent and we knew we were on the right track. And the beauty now is that the program, we've tested it. It's all laid out step by step. It's 6 weeks. And you start to feel better in the first 3 days. Like, it's much easier for people now because we've made it super simple. It took me 3 years. And everybody else gets to do it in 6 weeks. I'm a little bit jealous, but whatever. The real challenge, Helen, is people are conditioned to think this is complicated. They're conditioned to think that they're broken and have to be stuck with this. The real issue right now is people's skepticism because they've been conditioned by the experts to think this is complicated. And now when we come along with something really effective, people think it's too good to be true. And that's why most people that work with us are skeptical but open-minded. And people that work with us are more focused on what if this does work? If it doesn't work, no, there's no downside.
I think it's a win-win situation, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't lost anything, but if it does work, if this guy can pull off what he's saying, even half of it, oh my God. So if you're too focused in what if it doesn't work? What about this? What about that? Then your focus is in the wrong place and you won't want to work with us. If your focus is, oh my God, what if this guy has pulled this? Why don't I try this? If you're more drawn to the hope, you'll be drawn to the hope. So if you're listening to this and you're skeptical but brave and open-minded, if you get the logic that you were sent to the wrong location, if you go to the right location, you're probably going to get better results. If you realize you've been given individual tips and tools but no instructions, but if you had an optimized system with all the tools and the instructions, that would probably get you a different result. And you're working with the only company in the world that measures results and backs up their results, which probably means they probably get results. If you're picking up on those clues and seeing that this might work better, and you're somebody who's already tried stuff, if you're somebody who's anxious and you've worked on the anxiety and it's better, but you want it gone, that's what we do every day. That's who we want to work with. If you're someone who procrastinates and it's better, you're working on it, it's improving, but it's still there and you want to be free of it so that you can just wake up every morning and do what you want to do and bring value and look in the mirror and feel fulfilled and proud of yourself every day, that's what we can get you. If that sounds good and that's what you're focused on, come find us. If you're a perfectionist, if you have self-doubt and you've been working on it and you have tips and tools to manage it, but you want it gone so that you can wake up every morning looking forward to the day, open-hearted, authentic, courageous, resilient, that's what this gets you. If that sounds good to you and you have a brave, open mind to try something new, come find us. And we measure everything. We don't want, this isn't like interpretation. When you start the program, you fill out a very thorough intake questionnaire where we numerically measure several key metrics. As you go through the program multiple times a day, you are measuring your anxiety, your perfectionism, the procrastination, low self-confidence, whatever it is you want to solve, you're measuring it daily.
Yes.
And the reason we measure it is because that's proof it works. How many people out there in this industry measure their results and back up their results? How many? How many, Helen? How many is it?
Oh, look, I know. I worked in data and I know that there is a lot of information that is not collected. Really pivotal information. If you're not collecting data, you can't prove that what you're doing is effective.
And that's why this whole industry, I don't want to use the word corrupt, but they're really out of integrity. They'll use words like overcome, improve, beat, stop. They use all these vague words, but then they're not clear. What does that mean? I saw this program online that they were advertising, stop anxiety with my meditation. So a meditation can't stop anxiety. It can pause anxiety for about half an hour to an hour, which is fine. But don't tell people you're stopping it when all you're doing is pausing it. We tell people, here's what we do. It is gone and it's not coming back. And we measure it. And if it doesn't work, because that's just the right thing to do. But also, I hope it shows people we care. Think of how many people you gave your money and time to, and they didn't solve anything. They were okay with that. Did any of them say, hey, I'm really sorry, we didn't solve this, and here's your money back? No. Every now and then, remember, 6 weeks isn't a lot of time. And every now and then, partly because of the system and we're always improving it, partly, the person, but we don't always get the results we want. I'll personally reach out to that person. A, we don't charge you a penny. B, I'll tell them, I'll say, I'm really sorry. We're still working on the program. This is not your fault. You are not broken. This is on us. You trusted us and we didn't deliver. And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If we haven't helped you, why charge you? Our passion is that you're free of this. Why? Because if you try something and you fail, you feel worse about yourself. You know how much stuff I tried and failed and felt more broken and trapped? So to you out there that have tried things in the past and have failed, and you're afraid you'll fail at this, I get it. Everything else you failed at because it wasn't built correctly. It wasn't a system. You didn't get the instructions. It was not built to succeed. That's why you failed. But you blamed yourself. So to the people out there who think, I'm going to try one more thing and I'm going to fail, you're not going to fail. Because building this program, we built it to make sure you really can't fail. That's where all the testing went in, to make it simple. All the instructions, all the support materials. The reason we get paid at the end is because our success is tied to your success. We're with you every step of the way. We're not going to take your money and leave you hanging. Other people will, but we won't, because yes, we want to help you, but more importantly, we don't want you to fail.
Wow, Daniel, I'm just so inspired by what you're talking about. And, because this is like a missing link that we need. We need to know that we can remove all the masks. And the best feeling is when you can just be totally yourself, accepted as totally who you are. So it sounds to
Yes.
me like this is what your system is achieving. It's allowing people to remove those masks.
And it is, and we didn't know it would be that effective. Remember, we were just scientists trying to do better. We didn't know how good this would be. But again, I've been using the tools the longest, so I'm like patient zero. I used to hate myself. I used to just live to get people to like me. I thought I wasn't good enough. Anxiety, you name it, I had it. I thought that was my life.
Yeah.
And now I wake up every morning, my default, not because I meditate, not because I do an affirmation, not because I light incense, not because I clear my chakra. My default, I wake up and I feel safe and nothing, it's just my default. And from that place of pure safety, my default is authenticity, freedom, passion, purpose. This energy you see, this is not cocaine. This is a natural state. And most people are like, is that even possible? Here's how you know. Here's how you know it's possible. Most people are so removed from this version of themselves, it's just theoretical. But it's not as theoretical as you think. Because there's a version of you and a population that lives like this. And it's children.
Yes. Yes. Unfiltered.
There is no 4-year-old that says, I'm really thinking of finger painting today, but I really want to make sure it's perfect and people like it. No 4-year-old talks that way. There's no 5-year-old who said, I'm thinking of going to the park, but I just don't have the energy and I'm really worried about that I won't be good enough at tag, so I think I'm going to stay home. There's no 5-year-olds that go to Tony Robbins, okay? And that is because children still have a healthy nervous system. They still have that no fear.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 5, 6, 7, 8, the fear starts to kick in. But Before it happens, everybody knows, man, when I was younger, I was open-hearted. I was spontaneous. I was in the moment. I had tons of energy, full of optimism. That version of you still exists. It's in you. It's just covered up from feeling unsafe. So if we remove the unsafety over 6 weeks and it's gone, you now are that beautiful, childlike, spontaneous, open-hearted, fearless, confident person. That person is in there. You just heal the safety out of you, and that's your default. That's how I live every day. And I want that for your audience.
I've loved every aspect of this conversation, Daniel, because, you've just spoken to my heart through and through. I truly believe that I want to be that type of person that's out there serving others with a passion to help them find that in themselves. And your system is doing that perfectly. We're going to let people know how they can get hold of you, how they can make a quick phone call to you to have a chat to see if the system's going to be right for them. But before we do that, can I just ask you 3 questions I ask all of my guests? So the first question is, what is the best thing that has happened to you so far today?
That message from that client this morning saying that he felt happiness for the first time in years.
Yes, that speaks to me too. That's beautiful. What is something that you are most grateful for?
I'm grateful for the pain that was sent to me, and I'm grateful that the experts failed me because it forced me to figure this out for the world and for me. I benefit every day from this. If I had just kept buying with the experts, if the pain had been less, I might have tolerated. I was in such pain and felt so trapped and hopeless that I surrendered, and God woke me up and he said, "You're an engineer. You go solve this." But it's because the pain was so high and I felt so trapped that it forced me. What's it? Necessity is the mother of invention. This is an invention and I needed it because everything failed me. And it forced me to invent this. And what I invented was a way to fast track us to what we truly want, which is safety and freedom as our default state. And so I'm grateful how bad it got because it forced me to do this. And I benefit every day from it. But then I get to share it with the world.
Wow, that's such a wonderful response. The third question is, when you have moments in your day that turn a little bit dark, and we have a phrase here, when they turn to custard, how do you pivot out of those moments?
I know you're not going to believe me. I don't have them.
I know. I knew you were going to say that. I do believe you because I think your system is effective, so effective that you don't go there anymore.
I swear, I know, I just say it because it's true. And when people go through the program, they're like, oh, I get it. Yeah, if you use these tools long enough, absolutely. I mean, look, that guy's feeling joy for the first time in a week. Okay, I've been using these tools for years. It doesn't occur, but it's a weird, man, when I first started going through this, it was weird because stuff was happening. Things that used to terrify me just didn't bother me. It was disorienting at first. I can feel stress every now and then. If I'm challenged, I might feel stress at about a 3 out of 10 for about 5 minutes. That's about as bad as it gets, but that's just a stress response. That's normal. But honestly, I'm not. It's weird. And what's heartbreaking, I'm not enlightened. I'm not special. We just figured out what effing works. And what effing
Yeah.
works, everyone else is trying what doesn't work. And it's breaking my heart that what we do isn't better known. Nobody knows about us. And it saddens me. Every day, I both am grateful to be free of this and also sad that we have something so effective that almost nobody knows about. So I really want to tell your audience, if you're hearing this, God wants you to hear this. This is a miracle that you clicked on this show and you heard me. I hope 30 years from now, what we do is the norm. Right now, nobody knows about what we're doing. We're 30 years ahead of our time. And if you're hearing this, it's because whatever force out there is looking out for you wanted you to hear this. Do not take this lightly. Follow up. Tell somebody who's in pain about this, because this is what the world needs. And it's a miracle and a blessing that you heard me. And I have enough self-love to know that I'm a walking angel miracle. And this comes from a person who used to hate himself. So if you get the intuitive breadcrumb of what you heard, don't take this lightly. It's God wanted you to hear this. Follow up, be skeptical, but be hopeful, and come to the website. You can learn about the program. We also have some free resources just for you to try things out, because we know not everybody's ready for the program. That's fine. We're just here to help. Learn about the program. If you're interested in the program, you book a free call with me. We talk. I learn more about you. You tell me what you want to be free of, whether it's anxiety, perfectionism, procrastination, people-pleasing, low self-confidence. You tell me that thing that's keeping you from being the person you want to be, that you want to be free of. And I'm going to make sure our tools are going to help you, because we don't work with you if we can't help you, because we don't want you to fail. And if I think it's a good fit, we offer you the program. If you want to do it, great. If not, that's okay too. We only want to work with motivated people that really want to be free of that. So if you're skeptical, but open and curious to be free of all this stuff quickly, and you have the courage to try something new and the courage to actually let this go, because a lot of people are afraid to let their stuff go. If you really want to let your stuff go and you have the courage to really change, and what I've been saying makes sense, just take the next step. Go to danielpackard.com, see what we do, book a call with me, and see what happens.
Sounds great, Daniel. I'm going to have all those links as well in the episode notes, and so people can go and find them there as well. Daniel, I just am so grateful that we found each other, that we connected, that I've got to hear this incredible journey that you've been on, because I certainly wouldn't have expected a mechanical engineer to have come up with this beautiful, life-changing system. But I am so grateful that you have, and I'm so grateful that unfortunately you did have to go through what you did to take you on that journey to discover this. You've also had over 3,000 people at over 300 companies and universities all over the world where you've trialed the system. And I also read that the South African government has asked to make nervous system reset a part of their national mental health curriculum. So that is definitely a feather in your cap. And I just hope that the word just keeps spreading far and wide, so that more people can know that there is hope. There is hope from their pain. So, Daniel, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Helen, for the deep appreciation which I receive. And I feel grateful to share this with your audience, because, again, like I said, if they're listening to a podcast with the word grief in it, these are warrior people that are connected to their feelings, and a few of them, not all of them, but some people listening to this is perfect for, to get them to use the pain to catapult them to freedom. No more Band-Aids, just life upgrades. How's that sound?
Oh, perfect. No more Band-Aids. I like that. Good catchphrase. Thanks for listening. I hope you got some real value from this episode. If there's a topic you'd like covered, click on the Beautiful Side of Grief at gmail.com link, or go into the beautifulsideofgrief.com website, where you can also leave a review. To get notified of new episodes, hit the subscribe button. And if you know of somebody who could benefit from this episode, please share. And until next time, please be kind to you and take good care.